What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are running in Hoka's new Rocket X2. Is it as good as what they say? I don't know. Stick around to find out. Let's get started with some introductory points on the Rocket X2 before we move into the overview. First things first, price point on this bad boy. So Hoka has this shoe listed at $250. So the specs on the Rocket X2, we have a 36 millimeters in the heel, 31 millimeters in the forefoot, giving us that sweet spot of 5 millimeter heel to toe drop that we know that Hoka is best for. And for a men's 10.5, the Rocket X comes in at 8.1 ounces or 230 grams. So now that we got the introductory things out of the way, let's talk about this shoe, starting with the tongue. So like most carbon fiber plates that we are seeing nowadays, we are having a bat wing style tongue. I mean, they're flared out on the top, super skinny, very minimalistic, zero to no padding. But yet at the same time on this shoe, it feels like it's made of some type of stretchy material at the top. So it kind of stretches out, it can flare. But then if you look really closely, we have basically some breathability right here, like some spots where you can definitely increase the breathability on the top of your shoe. Also, this is a gusseted tongue. So we have on the gust, if you can see, I'm not sure if you're able to see inside of here, but basically we have like 4 tethers, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, and they basically hold the tongue in place and they stop the tongue from moving around. I will say that I noticed when I took this out on a run today, initially, when I put it on my foot, I ran into some issues where the first 2 like bands on the gust, so to speak, were kind of like turning sideways, and so I felt like an awkward feeling on my medial and lateral side of my foot, and it was because those like bands on the tongue were turned. But once I straightened them out, it worked out perfect. But again, hopefully you can see that on the inside of the shoe, maybe right there. But that's what I'm talking about. I really liked what they did on top of the tongue, where you have the eyelet chain right here, and they created 2 spots on the top of the tongue to hold the laces, or to hold the tongue up while using the laces. I love that. That is one of my pet peeves about running shoes is you're out on a run and all of a sudden, you kind of feel a little awkwardness on the top of your foot. And next thing you know, you look down and the tongue has slowly drifted to the front of the toe box. And next thing you know, you have a tongue that is really almost touching the bottom of your toes. I can't stand that, and I am very thankful that Hoka, you did this. Thank you so much. I do believe what Hoka did say is they wanted to mitigate tongue migration. I didn't even know that was a thing. But if I can define it, that's it. A mitigation of tongue migration down the foot. Next, let's talk about the upper on the Rocket X2. So we have a synthetic mesh here, according to Hoka, and I wanted you to have a good look at what this looks like, but pretty much it's a synthetic mesh. I'm not sure where they're getting the mesh from, but I do understand where they're getting the synthetic from. See if you can look at this material really closely, if you're able to get a good picture, good view on it. But it is pretty breathable, I can tell you that. And I'm not sure if you can see my fingers through it, but this is kind of what it looks like. They call that synthetic mesh, and I guess if you hold it up to a light, you can see that it is meshy in a sense, and so it's like some type of engineered synthetic mesh, I guess. But it worked for me. That's something I can say as I wore it today on my run. It was very breathable, very flexible. It felt good. It was very foot hugging, if that makes sense. And I really enjoyed that. I felt like it was a part of my foot. It became one with me. Foot hugging. I like that. We're going to go with that. Foot hugging synthetic mesh. And it looks pretty durable too. I noticed that as it was flexing, it still was just holding together pretty good. And I'm down with that. I like it a lot. See if you can see the inside of it, the synthetic mesh. Not sure. But yeah, so that's kind of it for the upper, a synthetic mesh upper. It worked well for me, super breathable, flexed really well, and I like it. I'm not sure what it would do in wet conditions, if it would just allow the water to go right through, or if it would just keep the water out. I don't know. I didn't run in rain today. All I know is that it felt really good on the run, and I felt like it was giving me a hug the whole time, and I enjoyed that. Let's talk about the heel counter on the Rocket X2. So on the Rocket X2, we still have the same type of style that we've been seeing on the new Hoka shoes with a high back on the Achilles. And yet on this shoe, what they've done is they've pretty much removed all like padding and all type of life on this heel counter. Yeah, so as you can see, there's really not much going on there. It's just kind of like, there it is. And I think what they're doing is that they are completely dependent upon this synthetic type of mesh working together with the material that they have on the heel counter, this type of fabric that they have, and a little bit of the seams working together to hold up this heel counter. Again, there's not much padding back there. But at the same time, I mean, it worked. And what I mean by that is I had zero heel slippage today in my run. Like, it felt great. I picked up the pace, dropped it down to a 520 pace, had zero issue with it. Heel was not coming out. Again, it was that foot hugging thing. The upper was very foot hugging and the heel counter was very foot hugging, but heel hugging. So there is some padding back here. I do want you to be able to see this. You can see it right here. It looks like some bubbles on the inside of the shoe. And basically, it's not just air socket. It looks like they have some type of foam inside, memory foam inside that runs around up to the laces and then runs all the way around, skips the middle part right here, and then does it on the other side. So that's about all you have right there. Again, not much support. If I were to push down on the heel counter, that's all you have. You completely lose it. Yeah, I mean, not much to say about the heel counter except for it worked for me, and I was pretty impressed. I initially thought it might induce some slippage, but I didn't have any. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Worked for me. Next, let's talk about this midsole, baby. ProFly X foam we have in this shoe, and I'm telling you what, it worked today. It was on point today. So what they have done on this foam is they have taken a highly resilient, highly responsive, brand new performance foam, the PIBA foam, and they kind of did what Saucony did on the Endorphin Elite, is they took this ProFly X foam and they put a carbon fiber plate in between and they mashed it together. So they sandwich it together. We have a carbon fiber plate sandwich going on inside of this ProFly X foam. And let me tell you, it works. It felt so good today. Absolutely amazing. Look at this foam. Let's look at this push test. See if you can see it going on there. Super plushy, and yet, man, this shoe is responsive too. Let's do a little twist test going on. How it is. Super responsive on the heel. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm telling you what, it was very responsive. And working together with that carbon fiber plate, check it out. That's a bend. I'm trying to bend that thing, and it's just saying no, no, every time. Kicking right back out. So it worked great today on my run. I was very surprised with how it wasn't as stiff as most carbon fiber shoes are nowadays. It was very Hoka-ish, Hoka-esque, and yet at the same time, I had outstanding kick because of the responsive foam and because of the carbon fiber plate sandwich. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. Let's move on to the outsole. So very impressed with what they did on the outsole. So here's the logic behind it. Most shoes are trying to cut weight. They're trying to get smaller and lose weight. So typically what ends up going on these shoes is the first thing you lose is the rubberized outsole. So what ends up happening is you end up running on supercritical foam without much longevity in the shoe because you have no rubber. You have no outside protection to protect this supercritical foam. And so the shoes don't last and they really just kind of burn out before their time. But not with the Rocket X. So check this outsole out. Look at that. Hoka did not spare a single millimeter on the rubberized outsole. Look at this. You see we have all over the shoe, all over the toe box. You have the outside and the inside, around the heel, everywhere you go. Only spot you didn't have it is right here where we have the carbon fiber plate through the shoe. So was very impressed. So this is what the bottom of my shoe looked like today after a 10K, and burning up the road pretty good today. And it looks pretty good. I mean, not much wear and tear on it. I think it held up really well. But think about it. If it did not have the rubberized outsole, the Durabrasion rubber outsole, what would have happened? That foam probably would have gotten beat up today because I ran on the road. I ran off the road. I ran through rocks. I ran through all kinds of different terrain. And if it would not have had this rubberized outsole, I'm almost positive that I would have had some big scuffs on this PEBA foam, and I would have been a sad man. Just gonna be honest with you, especially for a price tag of $250. So with everything coming together, is the Rocket X2 everything that I thought it would be? Did it meet my expectations? Short answer, yes, it did. And it did it very well. I will first start off by saying that I was very impressed with the new ProFlat X foam in this shoe. The new PEBA foam is absolutely resilient. It is ultra responsive and it is super plushy. Typically, if you have a good carbon fiber plated shoe, you'd lose the comfortability and the plushiness for exchange of the spring of the carbon fiber plate. The Rocket X2 maintained the cushion that Hoka is known for. It maintained the early stage meta rocker that constantly thrust me forward, and yet it maintained the comfort that everyone loves in Hoka. I really enjoyed the breathability of this synthetic mesh. I may not understand how they did this, but I know it works, and it works well. I really love the heel counter. I wanted to not like it because it's weird, and yet at the same time, most times it doesn't work on shoes, but it worked for me. It felt good. It hugged my foot. It became a friend today. And on this run, I was feeling it. Besides the little stick that got caught up in the shoe, everything was on point today. There's an extra plus. This Durabrasion rubber outsole is going to make this shoe go a long way. It is going to increase the longevity of this shoe, which means I don't have to buy many pairs. I can just keep one for right now. So honestly, long answer, that's it. This shoe is a great shoe, and I think that Hoka knocked it out of the park. That is my honest to God opinion. I thoroughly enjoy this shoe, and I cannot wait to go run in it again. Thanks so much for tuning into my channel. I hope you found the content helpful on the Hoka Rocket X2s. If you would, do me a solid, like this video. Comment down below. I want to hear from you. Is there anything that I did not address in this video that you would like to know about? I want to help you. I am here for you. Additionally, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to continue to upload running content and shoe reviews for you. It's all for you. All for the running community. And as always, guys,